The first step to influential communication is understand how you're showing up just from an energy perspective, from a posture perspective, from a presence perspective, even before you open your mouth. So there's a lot of levels to influential communication. That's the first one. How do you stand? What's your posture? How do you use your arms? Are your arms crossed? Are they open? How are you dressed? Are you dressed for success? Or do you look like you just rolled out of bed? Do you have positive energy, or are you staring at the floor? Are you on your phone? Do you seem disheveled? All of those things, before you even speak, are what we look at to see, hey, do I want to be in your space? Do I want to come and have a conversation with you? Or do I want to work with you? Do I choose you as the coach? I say this again humbly because I think a lot of people, they want to be coaches, they want to be leaders, they want to grow in their career, but they don't realize that the way that they're showing up is below average.
Hi, and welcome to Don't Shrink to Fit podcast. I am your host, Claudia Noriega-Bernstein. My podcast is all about you and all the courageous women like you. I truly believe we're here to inspire, empower, share, and embrace one another. In my podcast, I talk with women from different backgrounds and careers about love, family, friendship, their wins and falls, and the life they love. We explore our feminism, challenges in an intimate and honest way. I truly believe we can only fly if we embrace each other. I have a new episode every week. Please go check it out. I hope you enjoy it and can't wait to hear from you.
I say this again humbly because I think a lot of people, they want to be coaches, they want to be leaders, they want to grow in their career, but they don't realize that the way that they're showing up is below average.
You know what? I'd rather be happy than being right. Hi, everyone. We have Nada Nasserdeen today, the founder and CEO of Rise Up For You. She is two-time TED speaker, a two-time #1 bestseller author, and a globally recognized thought leader, among other amazing things. So I want to welcome you and also congratulate you for your wedding.
Hey, thank you.
So exciting news. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here. I'm looking forward to sharing with you.
I think your story is very interesting because usually we sit in our problems instead of trying to rescue the lessons and make something out of it. And you are an example of getting up, clean the dust, and keep on going. And I love to have stories like that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I've been through challenges in my life, just like everybody else. And I think that I understood at a younger age that I can make more movement when I use my pain as fuel for growth. And whenever I'm in a moment where I could see like where there's pain or something that's happening, it's a moment where I really have to reflect as a woman and ask myself, what kind of woman do I want to be? Do I want to be the woman that like rises above it? Or do I want to be the woman that like gets stuck in it? You know what I mean? And that sits in it. And so for me, I've just always made that conscious decision that I'll use my pain as fuel for growth to make an impact in myself and also hopefully in the world and in the community.
Yes, I agree with you. Oftentimes we listen to what the outside voices tell us and we make decisions based on that instead of listening to ourselves and see what do we really have? What are we made of? And what can we create in the situation that we are? But you were very blessed because you were raised by two very amazing humans. What would you think? And you share a lot of the things in your book. So I'm going to have that information in the description of the show because I think your book is very inspiring. And I wanted to ask you, when you think about your childhood, what do you think it was one of the most important skills you learned as a kid?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And you're right. Like I was very blessed. I had two incredible parents. They were amazing. They weren't perfect, but they knew how to teach and love my brothers and I and teach us discipline at the same time. So they were really good at just like that balance. But the thing that they taught my brothers and I was self-confidence. And they taught us that at a young age. Like my mom always taught us to love ourselves, to build our self-esteem, to be kind to ourselves. And my dad always taught us to push our potential. You know, if I had an A minus, he would come home and be like, why not the A plus? And so they both taught us this element of self-confidence, but in different ways. My mom was more about nurturing your mind and your soul and not letting anybody cut you down, not being mean to yourself, saying positive things to yourself. And my dad came from the viewpoint of, if you have the ability and you have the potential, why wouldn't you push yourself? Like, why wouldn't you do it? I would say hands down, that was the most important skill that they taught us. And just for context for everybody listening, my two brothers also have the same amount of confidence as I do. Like we've all built the skill, self-confidence, I should say.
That is so important. And oftentimes as parents, we want to protect.
Yeah.
I've been guilty of that and fix. And when we do that, we take the opportunity from the kid to figure it out and to find out. You know, I was actually having a conversation with another, and we were talking about overindulged children and how this generation is, it's not that they're lazy, but they have not been taught to use the skills they have because parents tend to fix it for them or pay things for them or get things for them or pick up the phone and make the phone call to get the job and get the interview and get whatever it is that the kid needs in that moment. And then that creates a block. You start thinking, maybe I don't have what it takes to achieve that, because if I need my dad or my mom to do it for me, maybe not only I don't have to do it, but maybe I'm not capable to do it. So I think it's such a gift to give confidence to our kids.
Yeah. And you're spot on, because what's happening is that in this particular generation, the iGen and lower, and even the latter half of the millennial, is that they have been given their whole life, I call it the entitlement syndrome, right? Where in school, for example, everybody gets a trophy, everybody gets a ribbon, everybody wins.
Yeah.
That's just not the reality. You know, the reality is that you have to work hard, you have to earn it. And there is a lot of individuals that are parents that love their kids and they want the best for their kids. And most of the time we come from a place of, I don't want my kid to suffer like I did, right? I don't want them to suffer like I did. So therefore I'm going to do A, B, C, or D. And just like you mentioned, Claudia, we forget that A, B, C, and D, the struggle, is what made them who they were as the parents, what made them a successful executive. It's what made them the millionaire or made them the leader that they are. And that if those kids are robbed of those experiences, then they will not become that, right? They're going to become dependent. They're going to become entitled. They're going to struggle with their ability to socialize. Like today, kids could barely look other kids in the eye. They'd rather sit upstairs and play games than go outside and play on the street with the neighbors. And those skills are really fundamental for children to grow up and have confidence and feel good about who they are.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. You know, when my kids were fairly small, I sent them to emotional intelligence training. I'm an inner abundance coach, so I coach women. And for me, emotional intelligence is very important and big time. And sometimes men are more resistant than women because they hear the word emotional and they're like, I don't want to have anything to do with that, right? But they don't understand that there's the ability to really navigate your emotions. And so when I send my kids there, they learn the eye contact. They learn integrity. Not that they didn't learn that at home, but it was reinforced. Like, okay, this is how we're supposed to show up. You stand for one person, even if you stand by yourself. Things that are so important and so valuable to become a well-functioning adult. And sometimes as parents, we don't understand that giving the kids those tools are going to be fundamental for their success.
Yes, absolutely. Well, because like our generation and younger, we kind of learned the tools on the streets, right? Right? Like we learned them by like failing and falling and crashing and burning and doing all these things. We still have a lot to learn when it comes to emotional intelligence. Most adults struggle with it themselves. But we played on the streets and we had intern jobs. We worked these crappy jobs at fast food and mowing the lawn and stuff when we were younger. And so some of those skills were innate for us. But today's generation, they're not doing that kind of stuff. And so now they're not learning it in school. They're not getting it in their day-to-day interactions with kids and jobs and that kind of stuff. And then parenting at the same time feels like they need to just coddle them a little bit more. And so the dynamic of those three things, not to mention social media and the screen time, is really hindering the next generation. But I love that you talk about emotional intelligence. It's the number one skill that we teach with our company. You could see the book behind me that I wrote on it, because just like you said, so many people think it's emotions, and there's actually 18 levels of emotional intelligence. And a lot of it is influence, how to lead, how to coach, how to be empathetic, how to be an active listener, how to be motivated, how to have self-confidence, being aware. I mean, there's so many different levels to emotional intelligence. It makes up 80% of our success in life.
Yes. And talking about emotions, now you found love, but there was a time in your life that you ran after love, right?
Yeah.
And left everything that you have built. And then that relationship didn't work. So you have to come back and rebuild. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it feels like so long ago now that I'm like remarried, but that's how I started this company. So I used to be a former executive of an education corporation. And then in the evening, I was a professor at a community college. And I did that. I loved my job. I loved being an executive. I loved being a professor. But the thing that was missing for me at that time in my life was love, was to be married and be a wife. Like that's very much a part of who I am and my culture. And so an opportunity came a little over a decade ago. That's how long it was. And I left the company that I worked for. I left everything. I sold my house, a car, everything. And I moved out of the country with 2 luggage. And on the first day of our honeymoon, my ex-husband said he wanted a divorce. And so I thought it was a joke. I lost everything pretty much overnight and got back on a plane to California, and I was bawling. I was crying. Felt like crippled, and like I had no idea what was happening. I felt very confused. I felt like I was in a game show. And I remember falling asleep on the plane, and my dad came to me in my dream and he said, Netta, everything you need is already inside of you. You just have to rise up for you. So if you see the book behind me, and those of you that are listening, I wrote a book called Rise Up For You. And I came back to California and I started building Rise Up For You. I don't know anything about entrepreneurship at this point. I knew nothing about building a business. All I knew was being the executive, education, performing. That was my skill set. And so I came back and I started building Rise Up For You. I didn't know what I was building. I just pretty much had the name. And 3 months later, my mother was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And while I was building the business, she was in the hospital for the next 9-10 months. I built my company out of a hospital. I took showers at the 24-hour fitness gym. I would go back across the street, open up a laptop. How do you build a business? What do people need in the world? And unfortunately, by the time I was 31, my mother passed away. My second parent, my dad, had already died. So I was 31. I just lost both of my parents, the 2 most important people in my life, going through a divorce, which was shocking and heartbreaking, lost all my money in the process, stressed out of my mind, gaining weight. It was like the lowest point I've ever been. But what I did know was my self-confidence was the one thing that was non-negotiable. And so even in the midst of all that crazy thing, what I did believe in was myself. And you could do a lot. If you believe in yourself and you bet on yourself and you double down on who you are as a person, then all those things that happen outside of you, they don't identify you, and you understand that. And so even when all that was happening, I still believed that inherently I was a good woman. I was kind. I was loving. I was worthy. And like, I deserve great things in the world, and I had great things to offer the world. And so with that mindset and with that belief from my parents, I started building Rise Up For You. And today we're in over 50 countries. I have 20 people on my team. We serve clients all over the world, everything from Google down to entrepreneurs that run their own business and do coaching and training and whatnot. I love my life. I have an amazing husband now, got married. I'm also a stepmom. I love the kids, and everything is exactly where it needs to be. But part of it is because the journey of like honoring myself and not let anybody project their belief or their limitations onto me, and realizing that like I'm enough simply because I am.
Right. Well, first of all, I am so sorry for your loss.
Yeah.
I lost my dad too, and I was very close to him, and he was always very inspiring to me. So I know the pain, and I understand the concept of using the pain to fuel you. I totally understand that. It's not just putting your heart in a box in the closet and think and think and think and go. It's using that passion, that pain to create something for you. And I wanted to tap into something that you said. you kind of knew that you have to create that, and you knew the skills that you have, and you knew your potential, right? But like you, there is a lot of women out there that have talent, that are very good at what they do. They're go-getters. They have confidence. Yet somebody else get the promotion. Somebody else is Mel Robbins. Somebody else is whatever that they aspire to be, and they're not. What is pulls you from that group? What were you were able to do that and create that life in somebody else that probably, if we put it next to you in paper, looks very similar, cannot do it?
I love this question because this is what we're teaching every single day, Claudia, is how do leaders, entrepreneurs, businesses become the top 10%? You nailed it. Most individuals, they look good on paper. They spend their entire life, getting degrees, getting certifications. They want the promotion. They're super smart. They're experts at what they do. But for some reason, they never really get the opportunity to be seen, to be heard, and to be relevant, to be the thought leader, to stand out, to truly build success. And so what does it take to be the top 10%? Top 10% meaning that you build financial abundance, you're fulfilled in what you do. I always say happy, healthy, wealthy, sexy, and you're making an impact, right? You have a healthy body, you look great, you feel great, you have amazing relationships in your life, you're doing work that you love, you're fulfilled, you have money, like everything is working for you, and you're making an impact in the world, and you're a good human being. Like, how do we become that? How do we become that top 10%? And so what it really boils down to are the top 4 critical soft skills that most people never, ever learn that make up the majority of your success. And I truly believe, and this is what we teach with the company, it is the factors that are preventing people from being their best. Self-confidence is the first pillar. Now, somebody might say, well, I already have self-confidence. Okay. The next pillar is emotional and social intelligence, which is super important, and it's very robust. So emotional intelligence has 4 major pillars. What we find is that most people thrive in one, right? Like they're really good at maybe managing their emotions. They're really good with motivation and being disciplined, like sales individuals. High-performing sales entrepreneurs or high-performing sales leaders, they're motivated. They know how to take action. They know how to crush it, but they might be hindered by pillar number 4 of emotional intelligence, which is how to lead, how to influence, how to have conversations with your team, how to work with your executive leaders, so on and so forth. And so emotional intelligence is pillar number 2. Pillar number 3 is transformational leadership. So how to create transformation in people so that they want to follow you and that you're really creating growth in other people, not just yourself. And the 4th pillar, which is the most difficult and the most important for entrepreneurs, coaches, people that really want to get to the next level, is influential communication. So how do I communicate, whether it's to clients, to stakeholders on this call right now, to my own leaders, because I want a promotion, for example, how do I communicate in a way that's influential, where the person that's receiving my message is going to take action, that they're going to say, let's do it. I want to work with you. I'm hiring you as the coach.
I want to pause this incredible conversation for a moment to speak directly to you. Yes, you, the overwhelmed, frustrated, tired of the BS mama. You're not alone in this. We all have those days. And let me be honest, sometimes those days last a little too long. But here's the good news. It can be better. I've been there. I have guided so many women like you to get out of the funk and start living the life they truly deserve. So book your call now. What are you waiting for? You're meant for more. And you know it. You feel it in your gut. And there is no more time to waste. And don't forget to grab my book, Brighter Days, available on Amazon. You will enjoy it, and I know it will speak to your heart.
Or absolutely, you're the right person for the job, right? So influential communication, that's pillar number 4. And all 4 of those pillars are important to help you become the top 10% in your life. Again, happy, healthy, wealthy, sexy, and you're making an impact in the world. See, I'm a firm believer that you can have it all, but you can't have it all with just technical skills. Now, I have 3 degrees, but I'll tell you right now, in the degrees that I have, most of what I'm teaching and what I'm learning comes from building the skills on your own, because they don't necessarily teach it at the school, right? They don't necessarily, it comes from training and coaching and being an expert in what you do. Now, I've studied neuroscience, I've studied confidence, I've studied emotional intelligence. My team and I are experts at what we do, but most individuals don't get that. And so they never really understand, like, how come I'm not being chosen? And all the coaches that are out there, there's a ton of coaches. Most coaches make less than $100,000 a year. How do you become the coach or the trainer that is making 7 figures, 8 figures, 9 figures, right? And everything that I talk about, I use on myself. So Claudia, when I first started the business, I lost everything. As I mentioned, I had $100 in my account. Stakeholder, no investments. I didn't go get money from anybody. My parents didn't leave us any money. They were humble people. Today, we're a 7-figure business and we're all over the world. And I did 0 paid marketing, didn't take a dime from anybody. But I'm telling you that the self-confidence, the emotional intelligence, the ability to lead, and the ability to influence is what got me to grow the business, and continuing to grow the business are those same skills that I and my team teach today.
And the influential communication is the ability to connect, right? To have a clear message, because sometimes you hear people talking, and I love storytelling. I write children's books too, and I love storytelling and connect with the person that is talking to me. And my audience always were my kids when they were little. I would come up with stories to them. They would pay attention because I would connect with them.
Yes.
Is that what influential communication is? The ability to connect with your audience? And those little words that people usually use. I'm guilty sometimes. I'm using those words. I'm very aware, so I try not to, but we fall into that, or even and then when you hear yourself being recorded, it's like you have 100, and you're like, oh my goodness, I sound like an idiot here.
Yes. There's a lot of levels to influential communication. Connection is one of them. But the most basic level of influential communication, which I would say is the very first step, I actually just did a video on this for our Rise Up For You YouTube channel, is the nonverbal communications. Because instantly, within the 10th of a second, people are already making judgments about whether or not they want to listen to you. So for example, and I say this really humbly, and I'm speaking raw truth here, but I think it's important for people to understand. You might look at me and say, okay, she looks confident. She's put together. She has her hair and her makeup done. She's wearing bright colors, so on and so forth. Okay. Now, Claudia, if I came on today and I looked the opposite, I was disheveled, I was wearing like a normal t-shirt, didn't really put myself together, are you going to take me as seriously when I talk about being the top 10% in your life and when it comes to success?
Probably not.
You're going to be like, well, you don't really emulate success. And when I look at you, kind of look disheveled, and I didn't even open my mouth. So that right off the bat, the first step to influential communication is understand how you're showing up just from an energy perspective, from a posture perspective, from a presence perspective, even before you open your mouth. So there's a lot of levels to influential communication. That's the first one. How do you stand? What's your posture? How do you use your arms? Are your arms crossed? Are they open? How are you dressed? Are you dressed for success? Or do you look like you just rolled out of bed? Do you have positive energy, or are you staring at the floor? Are you on your phone? Do you seem disheveled? All of those things before you even speak are what we look at to see, hey, do I want to be in your space? Do I want to come and have a conversation with you? Or do I want to work with you? Do I choose you as the coach? And I say this again humbly because I think a lot of people, they want to be coaches, they want to be leaders, they want to grow in their career, but they don't realize that the way that they're showing up is below average. Now, that doesn't mean that they're below average. They're just showing up that way. And so they have to start there. I once was in an audience. I was at a conference. I really believe in developing yourself as a person. I was at a conference. Somebody raised their hand to ask a question. She was an entrepreneur in regards to styling. So she was an image coach. She did styling. She put people together. She raised her hand and she said, I'm struggling in my business. Basically, how do I grow in my business? How do I get more clients? But here's the thing. She was wearing sweats. She had her hair in a bun. She wasn't wearing makeup, and she didn't put herself together. And now this individual is standing up and saying, I'm an image coach and a stylist coach. Now, that right there, most people in the audience are probably thinking, I know I was.
Matching the brand.
It doesn't match the brand, right? And so that's influential communication. Just the first step is, how am I showing up before I even open my mouth? And then it gets more advanced, right? All the way to the words that you're saying, the script. If you're a keynote speaker, what is the script that you're saying when you're on stage? How to cut the fat, how to remove filler languaging, like you said, eliminating subservient language being, oh, I'm so sorry, can I ask a question? Or I don't mean to interrupt. All those things that make you play small.
Already put you down there, because it's like you asking instead of meeting the person in the same level. And I totally agree with what you're saying. And, it's funny that you mentioned the way we show up, because I have daughters and I always said to them, it's not that you have to dress up, but your energy changes when you take care of yourself. Sometimes my husband would say to me, like today in the morning, he said to me, where are you going? And I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be in my studio the whole day. But I put myself together for me. I like to see my reflection and feel proud and pretty and smell good. And when I go out, even if I go to a grocery store, I am a walking billboard of possibility of what I stand for. So when somebody look at me, they want to work with me because they want that energy. It's not even they want my hair or my dress or I can have a Forever 21 dress. It's not the brand that you're wearing. It's how you are showing up in the energy that you are emulating. So then the people feel, instead of you chasing, you start attracting. People start coming to you. And I see that. So I always tell my girls, even if you are going to wear your workout clothes, put it in a way that you feel good about yourself.
That's right.
That you feel confident about yourself. And you're right. People look at you. You're a beautiful woman. First thing I said to you when you were on the camera, I mean, you look beautiful. You not only look beautiful, you're beautiful. But you not always speak perfect, knew what to do. I mean, you had a speech impediment when you were younger. And I want to bring this up because so many people out there that pay attention to what they don't have instead of what they do have, and just start rising from there. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. And most people don't know that I had a speech impediment pretty much my entire youth, all the way until my senior year of high school, Claudia. High school. And I had 4 letters that I could not say. RSHZ, right? And that's the S sound. Up until my senior year, I literally talked like a toddler. The only time you couldn't hear it is when I was a singer. And that's probably why I got into singing. And then one day, people made fun of me. People thought I had a brain disorder, right? That I cognitively was slow. And I wasn't. I just had a speech impediment and I didn't know how to break it. My tongue wasn't in the right spot. Now, I went my senior year and I just started practicing in the mirror. I would try to place my tongue in a certain way. I would sing and then figure out how I put my tongue and how I got to sound that way. And now today I speak all over the world and I get paid to do it. I speak for a living, and you would never imagine that. Most people would never think that I had a speech impediment. But yeah, it was a big part of who I was, but I didn't give up. I took the initiative on my own in the summertime to figure out, okay, how am I going to crack the code? How am I going to break it? And now today it's the number one thing that I use. My number one tool is my voice.
And I think it's also because you step into your leadership. You knew, this is what I want to become. And in order for me to become that, these are the rough edges that I have to file. Yes, I'm going to acknowledge what I do have, but also I'm going to work on all those other areas that, although don't define me, they need a little work.
Yes. What you just said is really important, because as a leader, it's really important to double down on the strengths that you have. Right. I know that I have a self-confidence that my parents were giving me. I double down on that. I know that I'm good when it comes to speaking and being on camera because I was a performer for so long. So I doubled down on that when I was building my business. But I also look at the areas that are not as polished, and I spend time working through those as well and building new skills. The one thing that's really important for leaders and entrepreneurs, especially in today's world, you have to double down on what you have, but you also have to consistently build new skills. You have to keep building new things, especially in the world that's changing every single day, you
Right.
got to stay competitive. And so even if it's like a small skill, a micro skill, you got to keep learning and fill in the gaps in some of the weaknesses that you have as a person. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. 100%. And as coaches, I think you can identify with this when you have walked the talk in a way, you have those experiences. It's easier to identify with our clients and be empathic. A lot of people confuse, I have sympathy for them. Now, sympathy is a whole different thing. You have to
Yeah.
try to be in their shoes and try to understand. If you have gone through difficult moments like you have and like I have, it's to an extent easier to connect with that person and say, I understand. I
Yes.
see you. I know how you feel. Let's work together. Let me walk beside you so I can guide you because I know how you are feeling. And in this incredible journey that you have, what would you think most significant thing you learn about yourself?
That's a really good question. I think what I learned about myself over these years, and I'm continuing to learn, is that I trust myself. Because I was at the bottom and I was able to get back up, now I have more trust that I'm going to be okay. So what that does is it eliminates a lot of fear because now I don't have as much fear as I used to have because I trust myself that I'll get back up. I trust myself that I'll figure it out. And so I think that was really important. But another thing that I learned along the years, and I'm still learning, is not everybody is the same. One of the areas that I'm consistently working through is being empathetic and looking at other people and team members from an empathetic lens. Especially, it's much more difficult to be a leader who built your own company to show empathy. Because sometimes as a leader, when you built your own company, because it's like you gave birth to it, right? It came from you. Your expectations of the team members are a little bit higher. And yeah, you always have to remind yourself that, hey, this isn't their company. They're not going to work the way that you work. Right. Or just simply remembering that people work differently. People are motivated by different things. And so understanding that just because Nada does it this way, or just because Nada dresses this way or is motivated this way, doesn't mean that every person is going to be the exact same way. And being able to look through a lens of empathy and understanding for everybody else. And that's still a work in progress for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I just finished reading a book, Dare to Lead from Brené Brown. I don't know if you have read it. I love that book so much. I identify with that book in so many levels. And yes, being empathetic is such a key ingredient to be able to connect and to be a good leader. If you don't see the person where it is, how many times we have employees that are super talented, but just they're not thriving in the position that you are giving them. But maybe instead of firing them, you can find something else that they're going to be so good at. And then they're going to be like indispensable for you at some point because they were just in the wrong place. And we don't realize that until we start seeing everybody as who they are, and not as who we want them to become.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
So if I would ask you, what is a life to be proud of? What is success for you? What would you say?
I think success for me is what I mentioned earlier. It's building a life where you truly feel like you can have it all. So success for me is building a life of financial freedom. Okay. Building a life of financial freedom and flexibility without compromising my faith in God, myself as a woman, and my family, and still be able to make an impact. That's success to me. Is I have financial freedom and flexibility. I'm creating positive change in the world. And I haven't given up my main values and principles, which are family, taking care of myself, my faith in God. Those are very important to me, and also my health. So again, I truly believe that you can have it all. And success to me is being able to do that. So if I'm making a ton of money, but I'm not healthy, that's not successful to me. Maybe I've built success financially, but for me, success is being the whole human being and building a thriving and fulfilled life. Again, top 10%, where individuals have it all in every area. And every morning when you wake up, you're like, let's do this because you're so excited. That's success to me.
I love that. And I usually ask my guests if they can go back to a 6-year-old, what would they say? But you are a very happy 6-year-old, so I'm not going to go that far back. But if you could go back to that girl that came back with $100 in her pocket, what would you tell her?
I would so going back to being on the plane and being completely devastated.
Mm-hmm. But you can go back in time, sit next to her in the plane. What would you say to her?
What I would say to her is, you're going to be fine. You're going to be just fine. And there's a lot of abundance and greatness waiting for you on the other side.
I love that. Thank you so much for being here. I enjoy this very much. I hope you did too. I'm going to have all the information about your books and the description of the show. Where can people find you? I'm going to have it there, but if there is somebody out there that wants to bring their business, themselves to the next level, how can they get in touch with you?
Thank you for asking, Claudia. The company is Rise Up For You. You can go to riseupforyou.com, also on social media at Rise Up For You. And if anything I said today, emotional intelligence, confidence, any of it resonated with you, if you go to riseupforyou.com and you click the free resource tab, we have free quizzes on confidence, free quizzes on emotional intelligence. I have a masterclass on self-confidence. It's totally free. You're more than welcome to access it. But make sure, check us out at Rise Up For You. And then check me out at Nada Lena Nasserdeen. I do my own social media. So if you connect with me on Instagram or LinkedIn, I will be the one to respond, not a bot.
I love that. Thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you, Claudia. I appreciate you.
Thank you all for listening to the Don't Shrink to Fit podcast. If you like this episode, please write a juicy comment below and subscribe to my podcast. Remember, we can only fly if we embrace each other. Until next week, be happy, be safe, and be kind to yourself.